Painkiller.
CJ, the Painkiller.
Kevin Jackson.
So we need to start acting like a big football. It's time for the jet tax to die.
You're listening to Weapons Hot on Sports War Radio and the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Darnold fires one into the end zone. It is caught. That's a Jet touchdown.
And now here is your host, CJ, the Painkiller, D. Simone, and Kevin Jackson.
You are a factory of sadness.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the edition of Weapons Hot, a New York Jets fan broadcast here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network, Sports War Radio, Snowman Digital Media, and quite frankly, any place where you get your New York Jets fix. I'm your host, CJ the Painkiller D. Simone, and I'm joined tonight, as always, by my co-host, my partner in crime, my right seater. I'm bringing him in on a little bit different note today because I think after today's game and just the events of everything that has gone on this week, I think it's just more appropriate. So, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to introduce the man, myth, the legend. Put your hands together for Mr. Kevin Jackson. Jax, what's going on tonight, my man?
Man, we begin the episode of Weapons Out tonight in a little bit of a different place than we did last week. First off, excuse me, I'm out with my family this weekend, and I had the misfortune of watching this horrible piece of shit game go on today in the company of people that I love who unfortunately are also experiencing this drama. We are waddling in the shit right now. So it's a rough day, man. It's a rough damn day. And I know everybody's expressing different levels of festivity right now, but the way this stands, I'm not sure really what it is that they're trying to justify for the remainder of the season. I know we got stuff to talk about. I'm not going to go on and on about that, but I'm glad to be here. But I guess I'm glad to be here. I'm glad the game is over. We'll just put it that way.
Well, you know, as if anybody expected a different result today, the New York Jets get shut out 24-0 by the Miami Dolphins. And I kind of joked around within our little chat that, you know, Joe Flacco has an undefeated record against the Miami Dolphins, you know, because our good buddy Joshua Silverberg brought that up. Joe Flacco's never lost to the Dolphins. And I'm like, yeah, well, you know, today when the Jets lose by 20 plus or whatever, you know, that'll be his first loss. And I was kind of kidding around, saying it tongue in cheek. But you know what? I mean, this game almost became I don't even know what I really want to say. But this game almost became 28-0 at halftime without that pick from Brian Poole. And you know what? In a way, I wish he didn't intercept that ball. I wish that it was 28-0. And I know that that's probably going to rub a lot of fans the wrong way. But you know what? I don't care. Because at this point, this team is just a complete waste of effort. There is zero effort on the sideline. And what I thought was comical was they started the broadcast off today by saying, oh, Adam Gase and Greg Williams had a heated discussion and during pregame warm-ups on the sideline, and they actually showed up. How do you know they had a heated discussion? The two of them are wearing masks. Yeah. Can't read lips anymore thanks to COVID-19 because everybody's got to wear a friggin' mask. Okay, so how do you know if they're pissed off? Okay? And as far as Adam Gase is concerned with his comments about what Greg Williams said, Greg Williams basically called him out on the carpet. And I don't blame him. You know, and then Adam Gase decided to shoot back and decided to say, well, you know, we all just need to shut up and play. We can't finger point. Okay. All right, jackass. Yeah. How about you start with taking some responsibility for this shit show that we're watching week in and week out? How about starting with that before you're going to sit there and you're going to start bashing your defensive coordinator?
That's the problem. That literally is the problem. The person who actually would have all of the fingers pointing at him doesn't want anybody to discuss pointing fingers. Absolutely. Why wouldn't you? Look, this is the problem. We've recognized this as being a problem. It's not the first time any of us has ever said this, but the Adam Gase hire was strategically and problematically one of the worst that we have ever made here. And there is a reality to that really it just can't be denied. We have to contend with the fact that this is the guy that we entrusted the future of our franchise when we were discussing at the time the future of that franchise being at one of its most critical points in history. We have a franchise quarterback. We have a situation where we have talented players on the roster: Jamal Adams, Marcus May. We at that point in time, we had Le'Veon Bell. We had all of this opportunity. We had all of this hope. We had all of this, upward trajectory, possibility, this momentum. And this is who we gave it to. This fucking guy. All right. So the problem lies with him. You are making a great point in saying that his accountability is absolute zero right now, literally, because not once have I really ever heard him say anything akin to, you know what, this is all me. I'm the head coach. I'm responsible. If it doesn't work, it's my fault. Period. So it doesn't appear we're going to get that. It doesn't appear we're going to get anything resembling I guess a response or a reaction from the front office that kind of amounts to what it is that we should get from something like that. This is bad all around. And again, we're talking about Brian Poole making an interception, and Brian Poole is the guy that they're talking about shopping and trying to get rid of because at this point we don't have any use for him because we're obviously tanking.
Yeah, it's just frustrating right now because, I mean, the team is going out there and there are times when you see the team play hard, and then when you see them give up that first touchdown, and they know that there's no possible way that they're going to be able to get back into it, they just end up punting, and it's frustrating because then you start seeing guys start to come alive in garbage time when the game is out of reach. Well, what's the point? What's the point then? If you're not going to play hard for a full 60 minutes, if you're just going to dog it, then why are you even putting the effort in to begin with? And
how about what type of mentality is down by 20 points and really feels like, okay, this is a great opportunity now to put our young guys out there to see what it is that they can do, when we have an idea that we need to say what they're going to do in crunch time. We need to see what they're going to do at the beginning of the first quarter, at the beginning of the second quarter. That's when we need to see those guys. We don't need to see them when there's only 12 minutes left in the game and we're so far behind that we're looking at them again, or excuse me, they're right behind us again, getting ready to lap us. This is ridiculous.
And it's incredibly frustrating when you go down to Miami. I mean, I know that they just got off of just absolutely destroying the San Francisco 49ers. But, I mean, this is a team that last year for 2 games, despite how shitty our roster was last year, you put up a fight against them. And it just seemed like you went down to Miami and just had no interest in playing the game. And Joe Flacco, to be honest with you, looks probably the worst than I think I've ever seen him. I was joking around that he kind of looks like a serial killer, which there are times when you watch him on the sidelines and he just looks like he's lost in space. Like he must have found Todd Bolt's Thorazine or something somewhere underneath the bench. And he decided to pop a couple of tabs because he just stands there like he looks like he's completely clueless, like he doesn't know what he's supposed to do out there. And then Rashad Perryman had an appearance in this game, got hurt, got pulled out, went back in, started doing some damage again in garbage time. Supposedly, we were going to see LaMichael Pirine. We saw LaMichael Pirine, and in my opinion, was limited action, and they really didn't utilize the kid the way that they should have. It's just, again, just a calamity of errors. And then, oh, man, the first half of the game, okay, the Jets have a total of 59 yards of offense. Okay, I want people to wrap their head around this number. 59 yards in 30 minutes of football of total offense. Okay?
Offensive genius.
Right. Dude, I'm going to get to that in a second because you know what? I'm absolutely getting sick and tired of that offensive genius bullshit. I'm going to get to that in a second. All right? Now, on the penalties alone that the Jets amassed just in the first half, they had 6 penalties for 57 yards. Really? So you have 59 yards of total offense. 57 yards given to your opponent because of penalties. I mean, look, if that doesn't scream that this team has quit and that Adam Gase has lost the locker room, then I don't know what is. And I don't know what more Christopher Johnston or Joe Douglas needs to see in order to get this man out of the fucking building. But whatever it is,
I wanted to kind of point to something, and again, we were in the chat earlier, and that picture, the meme, because you know it's going to be everywhere, including my AVI on Twitter right now. Check me out at Spotty Blackman. But it's that meme of Joe Douglas, you know, with his head down and his face in his hand, and just absolute dejection. And I'm starting to wonder, really, again, the limitations of what he has available to him to make the necessary changes here. I was questioning it, and I mean, if you listen to the show, you follow us, you know I've been saying this for weeks. I've been critical of Joe Douglas because I really need to understand what he is capable of doing to right this ship. We are, at this point in time, we are damaging the upward trajectory of any talent that even he brought into this roster. Think about it that way, right? Because these are guys that he drafted. And if as much as we all talk about, you know, getting rid of guys or stunting the growth of guys that you didn't bring in, that they're not your guys, you're not responsible for them, and then to do what it is that he's done to his own draft picks, including the generational talent that we truly think, and it really looks like when we've seen him play, looks like we drafted in Mekhi Becton. He's hurt specifically because of this head coach and because of the decision making of this staff. And we're talking about an injury that, for the position that he plays, come on, man. You're honestly risking the career of these kids by doing what it is that he's doing. And now he's I don't even know what the hell you want to call his game plan. And everybody wants to talk about how quickly we need to get rid of Sam Darnold, when we actually saw a Super Bowl winning quarterback come out today who is supposed to at least be technically better than Sam Darnold. Maybe functionally, if he's not, you know, physically better than Sam Darnold, but we would expect that Joe Flacco would be able to do something that would look better than a third-year quarterback. And look what we got. And all of this, actually, again, it falls at the feet of damn Adam Gase, man. I'm sick of this shit. I'm telling you. Now, the heated debate with him and Greg Williams, if that's what they want to call it. No, I didn't see it specifically, but I'll just be honest with you. If Adam Gase is deciding that, you know, this is the opportunity for him to take to hash those beefs out on the sideline in front of everyone before the fucking game is getting ready to jump off, this is leadership.
Yeah,
I'll say this also, just in the spirit of fairness. If Greg Williams said some dumb shit to him about, we need you guys to put up some points today, you know, you don't poke the bear before the game either.
I'm surprised that Greg Williams didn't punch him in the face. I was kind of joking around with Joshua in our group chat about, you know, what's the over-under that, you know, Greg Williams just punches Adam Gase in the face. And he said like 46.5. I was like, I'll take the over.
Right.
Because
look, that reminded me of Buddy Ryan back in the day taking the swing.
There are even certain spots, you know, you see him that he's just what you call it, you know, just friggin' he's sitting on he's sitting on the bench and he's got that damn Denny's menu playbook in front of him, and all he's doing is scribbling, and he's not talking to anybody, and he's not doing anything. So it's a joke right now.
It is. How can you expect it to improve or make changes if you're not even getting any input from the guys, who are really responsible for running the staff? Come on now. This
So,
is this is a genius. This is a guy that's mature enough to handle the situation that comes with running an NFL franchise. Come on now. Get his ass out of here.
so, ladies and gentlemen, really quick, I want to welcome Mr. Dave Hanna to the show. Dave, how you doing today?
I'm doing very well. Thank you for having me back on. I apologize for the technical issues last week. I'm assuming you're hearing me and seeing me better than you were last week.
Yes, right now, I mean, you're a little bit of a shadow figure, but you know what? As long as your audio is not sounding like you're talking out of a tin can and a couple of tin cans and a piece of twine, I'll be happy with that. So
Let me pull a maneuver here.
tell me what your thoughts are on today's game.
Yeah, give me 1 second.
All right. So, I mean, one other thing that I wanted to talk about today is just the fact that both the Jets and Miami could not convert a third down to save their life today. That the Jets actually converted, like they were like 3 for 3 after going like 0 for 13 for third down conversions, and I think like this game actually set an NFL record of actually going a certain amount of time with teams not being able to convert a third down. I mean, so the third down defenses showed up, but I mean, it really didn't make a difference because the game was over at halftime. So when the game's over at halftime and this offense can't get out of its own way, then what's the difference? Dave, really quick, I want to get your thoughts on today's
Well, so let me air a couple of grievances right away. One, I actually was at work today. I was only really able to catch some. I mean, I watched it on my phone via the NFL Network app. I'll be honest, I put $1,000 on the Dolphins at the start of the week because I figured I might as well, make some money off of this misery. At this point, it's just you go into the game and there's no hope. I went into this game and there was absolutely no hope whatsoever. So, I mean, I didn't get to catch the entire thing, but this is the first time in my life that I didn't even care. I genuinely didn't care not being able to watch. Typically, it's like I get anxiety and get upset about the fact that if I would never miss a game, but my current position, I work weekends, and I didn't even, think twice of missing this game because you knew exactly how this was going to unfold. It's just despicable that we continue to trot out Adam Gase out there.
Facts. Look, this is we've actually moved so far beyond apathy when it comes to this. I'll just be honest with you. It as much as I enjoy doing this and I love doing the show and I love interacting with the folks that follow and new folks that come in. But it's hard when this is what it is that we have to discuss. I mean, it's not even real football. We're not really discussing football right now. We're discussing abject failure and public embarrassment right now. That's exactly what it is that we're discussing every week because for whatever reason, the football gods have shined down upon us and dropped whatever ineptitude is actually running this organization in our laps. And as fans, we don't deserve this. How many polls do you see now? Are you still going to buy Jets merch? Or, would you prefer to go 0-16 right now? And again, earlier, I can't remember who actually made the point, but saying that we want Adam Gase to actually finish out the season with the level of trash that he actually brings in each game, just so he can feel the sting and have on his resume the 0-16.
I think that's a great segue, man, because I am a firm believer. I have completely flipped right now. I honestly want to see Adam Gase finish out the year because I am a strong believer that a couple meaningless wins does nothing for the team moving forward. If anything, it will just hurt them. So Adam Gase gives the Jets the best chance to go 0-16. And at this point, that's what, in my opinion, a true Jets fan wants the team to go 0-16. I would love to hear an argument of how winning a couple meaningless games would help them.
Yeah, it's hard to argue that point. It really is.
it's very hard to argue that point. I mean, right now at this juncture, I mean, yeah, I think personally, if you would have fired Adam Gase at the end of the Broncos game, okay, if there would have been a press conference that Adam Gase had been relieved of his duties during the Broncos game, I think that right now Jets fans wouldn't care about the losses, about the wins and losses. They would just know that Adam Gase is gone. They would just know that change is coming. But right now, they don't really feel like anything is going to happen. It's just Adam Gase just getting more and more belligerent, more and more, more and more aggressive with the media a little bit, his responses to his questions. And basically, you're hearing players speak out. You're hearing now coaches speak out. So, I mean, eventually, all of this is going to get to a point where it just becomes a pressure cooker. So regardless whether or not the first pick in the NFL draft is on the line or not, if Joe Douglas has got it in his head that Sam Darnold is not the future of this franchise, then just get rid of him now. Get rid of him now.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay?
it's difficult. It's difficult to pull it, but I think he needs to try. There needs to be something done.
Everything seems to be circling around. Forget Sam. Sam sucks. Let's get him out of here. Let's go get Trevor Lawrence because Trevor Lawrence is going to come in here and going to fix everything. Okay? Let me explain something to you guys. And I know I'm going to get blasted on social media for what I'm about to say, and I really don't care at this point. Okay? Trevor Lawrence is not going to be the savior for the New York Jets franchise if the current coaching staff is still in place. Plain and simple. And if Joe Douglas is going to make a fair evaluation of Sam Darnold, and I said this last night on the Weekend Crunch, then you know what? Get rid of Adam Gase. You give the play calling duties and the head coaching duties to Jim Bob Cooter or to Greg Williams or whoever it is that you feel is going to be the interim head coach, Brant Boyer or whoever. Okay?
Mark.
You look Sam Darnold in the eye and you say, look, you got X number of games to prove to us that you're the guy. Okay? And if at the end of the year, either Sam is going to sink or Sam is going to swim. Plain and simple.
But CJ,
if this is going to be an evaluation, if this is going to be an evaluation period for the remainder of games in this season, do it the right fucking way. Don't pass backwards in.
You bring up a very, very interesting point because that's where I think the $1 million question comes in, especially if you're going from Joe Douglas's perspective. And let me preface this with the fact that I believe Sam Darnold is going to be a good quarterback in the NFL, and I think the Jets have done absolutely nothing to help him. Now, if you're in Joe Douglas's shoes, what is more important? Firing Adam Gase and giving Sam Darnold essentially that tryout period to prove if he's the guy or not, or keeping Adam Gase because the season's already an embarrassment and allowing the team to essentially just, for lack of a better term, tank, go 0-16 and get that number one pick. Because then let me just very quickly explain. You would be 0-16 and most likely Gase is, 99% getting fired if they go, no matter what, Gase is gone at the end of the year. So do you let Gase finish out the year and just struggle through the embarrassment of the next, 9 or 10 weeks and go 0-16, secure the number one pick, or do you essentially take pride in the fact that you're worried about giving Sam Darnold a chance and then firing Gase right now, promoting, Jim Bob Cooter and allowing him to get Mims back and Becton back and Perriman back and having some semblance of an offense and allowing Sam some sort of tryout period. That's
I fired Adam Gase yesterday. I'm sick of this shit. Look, you have a reasoned argument, but I'll say this first and foremost: Joe Douglas, his responsibility is to have a franchise quarterback. There's no question. That's going to be the mark of whatever GM is ever going to take any job. Does he solidify the most important position in football? All right, we get that. But Joe Douglas's responsibility is also to fill out a roster. And with the players that we have on the roster, to evaluate them and put them in the best position to win. If Joe Douglas's idea of managing an organization is to say, you know what, we can sacrifice a year of development for these guys in order to get one pick that may or may not pan out to be exactly what it is that we need. We're not one pick away from being a good team. We're just not. We're not even a first round, a number one pick draft haul away from being a competent organization at this point in time. And then let me ration this out for you, okay? Because the fact of the matter is that we're depleted at wide receiver, we're depleted at running back, we're depleted in the defensive backfield, we're depleted in our linebacking core, we're depleted on our offensive line. And don't let the fact that some of the names that we brought in fool you. Joe Douglas did bring in some guys. He didn't bring in enough guys. And if you really think about it, he really only kind of brought in 2 or maybe 3 guys, because George Fant is a name that I always had questions about, but he's actually proven to be a decent player at what it is that he's been asked to do on the right side. McGovern has been hurt. He hasn't actually been playing up to snuff. And Mekhi Becton at this point in time, who is playing like a man amongst boys, is hurt because of this stupid-ass head coach. Now, this is where I'm at. All right? We still have players on this team that need to grow. Because if you don't, then it's going to require replacing those players further on down the line. And as a GM, it's not easy to pick and choose talent. We can see that all over the league, but very acutely and very specifically, we've seen that here also. Mike McCagnon rings all kinds of bells and has entered the chat. All right, so here we are with recognizing that we have talent. Michael P. Ryan, he's not getting burned because our head coach is a moron. Because there is no offensive hierarchy. Adam Gase and Dowell Loggins. Who the hell is Dowell Loggins? And at this point in time, who the hell is Adam Gase? But more specifically, let me get back to the point. Joe Douglas has a responsibility to this locker room. And seeing some of the moves that he's made, especially some of those moves that have included bringing in nobody players because Adam Gase is comfortable with them, that's detrimental to not only the foundation, but it's detrimental to the morale. It's detrimental to the heart, to the soul, to the fight that these guys are supposed to have every week. And Joe Douglas is responsible for that shit to an extent because Adam Gase has his power, and again, that's arguable, debatable. But I really would like to know at some point in time here that Joe Douglas is going to be the man, and it ain't going to be about what Adam Gase wants. And if it is another head coach, and if that head coach is not necessarily some super powerhouse, then I need to know that Joe Douglas, as the GM, has control to be able to make the moves that he needs to make. Right now, we don't have no idea what Joe Douglas is capable or not capable of doing because he hasn't done shit.
So, all right, really quick, I want to get to some of these comments over here. Shout out to John Suggs. He has a question that I want to pose to the panel over here. Fire Joe Douglas and Gase and get Greg Patton from the Vikings and draft Trevor and a different coach. He's a genius on cap space. Wants to know our thoughts on that. Dave, I want to start with that one really quick, and then we'll get back to Kevin. And I got more comments in here that I want to get to.
I do not at all think of the idea of firing Joe Douglas. He has barely even got his feet wet here. He walked into a messy situation. I agree completely with Kevin that it really comes down to, are you going to lose? They've already lost the locker room with Gase, but it's like, does Joe Douglas have any semblance of pride and try to convince? But that's the thing. You got to understand, Joe Douglas is in a tough spot. He was essentially brought on because Adam Gase was his biggest supporter. And Joe Douglas, you got to understand, Joe Douglas is not Adam Gase's boss. Christopher Johnson is the one that's pulling the strings. I'm sure deep down, Joe Douglas would have probably fired Adam Gase before the start of the season. But it's not like it's Joe Douglas's decision. This is Christopher Johnson. He's the one that owns the team. And I guarantee you, Christopher Johnson is currently a puppet of Woody Johnson, his brother, who's overseas, and he has no decision. So it's just basically allow them to embarrass themselves.
Pussy then. He's a pussy.
Yeah.
But what is he supposed to do? You know, you got to put yourself in his shoes.
He's a pussy, and he's content to go down with the ship. He's content with all the negative headlines. He's content with the negative PR that's being pointed in the New York Jets' direction. He's content with the amount of fans that have canceled their season tickets, that are canceling their PSLs in droves because they are just sick and tired of the pathetic product that's being put out on that football field.
Period.
Okay, so
But you got to. I mean, listen. I'm not defending Joe Douglas, but you got to put yourself in his shoes. He just got hired. He's been here for a cup of coffee. You know what? He doesn't have the type of control I think that you're thinking of.
All right. That's the
problem.
problem. Isn't that the problem, though? I mean, that's kind of the point I'm making. All right, but just because specifically, this is it. Joe Douglas's job is on the line here. If you really think about it, because again, if his role and responsibility is to build the players and personnel here, then his job is looking like he's not doing a good job just because of the product that we're putting on the field. So his responsibility is to be at the table about that. Even if his role is not to actually make the decision, his role was to put together what he needs to build a winner. And his job, again, would be to bang the table. Look, this guy's got to get out of here. There's no way that I'm going to be able to put together any talent that is going to be able to win under this guy, because this guy is not it. That's the whole issue right now.
You also have to take a step back and understand what Joe Douglas inherited. He inherited Mike McCagnon's mess.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not like Joe Douglas didn't walk in with like a blueprint of, a perfect situation of cap space and guys that were happy to be on the team. He had a lot of tough decisions right off the bat. He has not been here long. You got to give Joe Douglas a little bit more time. Don't get me wrong. I want Adam Gase gone. I think there was a small window in which they could have fired Adam Gase, and that was essentially between like week 2 and the Broncos game. And now that has gone and passed, I believe they're better off just letting Gase just embarrass the team for the rest of the year, go 0-16 and get the best pick. Because I'm questioning what good comes out of firing Adam Gase tomorrow and then allowing, Jim Bob Cooter to take over the offense and Sam Darnold to lead them to 3, maybe 4. Even I don't even see how that would happen.
The downward trajectory of the entire organization would cease. The flat spin, the tail spin, the literally critical direction of this team that is taking right now would be squashed. It would mean that we've come to a point where this shit is no longer acceptable. Look, we continue to say we want to give these guys time. Look, we gave Idzik time. We gave McCagnon time. At least enough to show that they were horrible at what it is that they are doing. I don't believe that Joe Douglas should be in that conversation. Let me just clarify that. But what it is that I am saying is that if Joe Douglas is going to be good at his job, he's going to have to do what they couldn't do. He's going to have to be able to make these changes. He's going to have to be able to be the guy that, and think about it again in terms of what Christopher Johnson decided to do in the negotiating process with Joe Douglas. He gave Joe Douglas contractual kind of a vote of confidence in saying, we believe that you're going to do this. We're going to give you everything that you need, and we're going to give you time to do it. And Joe Douglas at this point should be saying, you know what? I'm wasting time. We're all wasting time. What good is it going to do to get Sam Darnold out of the room with Dowell fucking Loggins?
Yeah,
it's a world of difference. It is a world of difference. And I'll just say this again, because if what we're talking about is Trevor Lawrence coming in with a brand new everything, I don't necessarily know, do I trust that anyway? Not to mention the fact that we are talking about Sam Darnold, a guy that we believe could be the guy if we put everything around him that we were supposed to put. And we haven't. We haven't done shit. At this point, we've done nothing to help him. It is a negative-sum game right now, because the loss of talent that we've had instead of the influx of talent that we needed to build what it is that we were hopeful for at the beginning of the season is gone. It's gone. the new guys that we brought in, either they're an afterthought or they're not playing well. All of the stuff that we said that was going to help us going into this season, none of it is coming to pass other than Jamison Crowder, the possibility of Mekhi Becton. And again, when he's been on the field, he's been a beast. And again, the only jersey that I would even consider buying right now is Braden Mann.
No, I agree.
So here we are. This is the worst case scenario for us. Period.
Well, but at the end of the day, this all boils down to the fact that Adam Gase being here for 2 years has completely set this franchise back X number of years. And if we had made the right decision, if they had made the right decision at the start of last year and did not hire Adam Gase, we wouldn't be doing this right now.
Right.
They can make the right decision now, though.
The right decision now is to fire Adam Gase now, because you know what? Jim Bob Cooter is probably not going to get you 2-3 wins. Take a look at the rest of the Jets schedule. Okay, the rest of the Jets schedule does not get easier. And in a team that is offensively inept at this point, you sit your veterans. You sit those players who you think may or may not be with this franchise going forward. You sit them. You play your kids. You do your full evaluation from top to bottom. You have somebody else in Sam Darnold's ear, because at least you know for the amount of 1-year contracts that Joe Douglas made at the beginning of this season,
which was smart.
Chances are not going to be here next year.
I think that was perfectly said. I think, honestly, ideal situation. We're talking right now, sitting here 0-6. Perfect situation is that tomorrow morning, Adam Gase gets fired. Whoever gets, elevated to head coach, interim head coach, whatever. Perfect situation is that Sam Darnold shows signs of, looking like he could be the guy. The team plays hard, but they lose. That is the best case scenario. Winning the game is not a good thing. We do not want to do that.
That's the world we live in right now, because I kind of can't argue that point at all. I do believe the problem that we would encounter in that was that now you have the number 1 pick, and you have no choice but to draft Trevor Lawrence.
But I would say a perfect situation, in my opinion. This is me speaking from the heart. Perfect situation. You fire Adam Gase tomorrow. Darnold looks great down the stretch, but we still lose every game because we just don't have the personnel. We get the number 1 pick, and then there's a team behind us that is quarterback needy, and they're willing to trade up for the number 1 spot to give us a boatload of picks, and we just trade back and we surround Darnold with some talent, because we have not done that yet.
Every scenario for me that involves keeping Sam Darnold is a plus for me. I'm going to say this as somebody who really likes Trevor Lawrence, man. I'm just going to keep it real. I think the kid is a beast. I mean, all of the hype around him is justified, and when you watch the tape. There's a couple of things. I'm just being honest. I really do like Justin Fields. I'm just going to throw it out there. I like Justin Fields a lot, and I think that that guy is a talented playmaker also. So to me, it's a little 1A 1B for me when it comes to that. But Sam Darnold, I again, so many folks don't have any belief in Sam Darnold. I don't necessarily think that a lot of that is justified. I think Sam Darnold has shown that he has the ability to put stuff together. I'll say this. Even some of the most talented historically quarterbacks have made bonehead errors. Brett Favre. I'm not putting Sam and Brett Favre in the same category, but I'm just saying it's not like there isn't precedent for it. Okay, but I also think that if the Jets do what it is that they need to do, and I think we've all kind of touched on this point, the talent on this team right now is just, it's not good enough to do what anybody, I think, at this point would need to do to win consistently. But the best case scenario is for me, we do, play well down the stretch, or Sam, plays well down the stretch. Rashard Perriman isn't necessarily a factor, but Mills comes back and shows some things I would like to see Ashton Davis get run. I would like to see P. Ryan get run. If we can see all of that happen, if we can see all of the guys that got drafted, if we can see Zuniga maybe actually get on the field, if we can see, if he's hurt, excuse me, I can't remember. But yeah.
Nobody seems to know what the hell is going on with it. He was ready to play week 4, and for some reason he's still inactive.
Yeah.
So,
Greg Williams has a lot to answer for too, to be honest with you.
Are you redshirting the kid? Is the injury maybe a lot worse than people thought or what was originally supported? What is it? Because you know what? I got to give Johnny Suggs again another shout out. The majority of Joe Douglas's draft class is injured. Denzel Mims, Jabari Zuniga, Cameron Clark. Okay?
Yeah.
Who are these people?
The only thing I'll say in Douglas's defense, you can't really get on him about Mims. Mims barely was ever injured in college, and he handled that perfectly. We could have had Mims. We then traded back, got more picks, and still got Mims. And then all of a sudden he has a hammy. Why is it that everything seems to follow Adam Gase? Injury history, players doing great elsewhere. Ryan Tannehill, Devontae Parker, Kenyon Drake. The list goes on and on.
The common denominator is Adam Gase.
Yeah,
Adam
Gase he's got to be out of here.
Fucking black cloud, dude. As soon as you get him out of the building, I'm telling you right now, the Jets fan uproar will cease. It'll be like the skies parted. The sun will finally shine from the sky. There'll be blue sky in the back. You know why? Because then we know that there's a light at the end of the tunnel, that the suffering, that the change is on the horizon. But right now, everything that's being reported, and I don't give a shit who's reporting it, everything's reported that Adam Gase is going to be fired at the end of the season. You know what? These same people said the same bullshit that right after the Colts game, that if Adam Gase didn't win the Denver Broncos game, that he was going to be fired on Friday. And you know what happened? As soon as the clock hit triple zeros at the Denver game, and Jet fans were about to rejoice that this asshole was finally going to be out of here, the Jets released a press conference that Adam Gase is not being fired. What can you believe and what can't you believe? That's the point. We want this garbage to end. This guy is the biggest fucking problem on this team. Get rid of him.
Getting rid of Gase invigorates this fan base. And we may actually even be able to save the fan base by the end of the season and not just the team.
Even if it's eyewash, Dan, you follow where I'm going with this? Even if this is eyewash.
Yeah.
Even if
100%. Now, that brings it.
Are the sacrificial lambs right now? You save whatever's left of this fan base, because this fan base is leaving this team in droves.
But listen, that brings up a great point. How much does the ownership even care? Because listen, nobody's in the stands. This is, of all years for COVID to occur, this is the worst year for Jets fans, because you know what? At least if there was half the stadium empty, that would send a message, and the half that were there would be booing the hell out of Adam Gase. And at least maybe that could be on television and embarrass the Johnsons. How much do you think Christopher Johnson really cares? Do you think he really cares about the organization, or is it about making money? Because that's a great question too.
I think that in itself is why it does make sense for them to be paying attention. They're losing all of that revenue. Them PSLs, which I'll be honest with you, I know that they're a little costly. But why would you have to pay for a contract to buy seats to watch this team? And if what it is that you have is the people who were willing to do that are now telling you that the product that you're putting forth is making me want to go watch another team.
Right. It's a truth.
How could you tell them that and have them say, okay, yeah, well, no, this is, look, I don't get it. Yeah, is it a tax write-off for them? Who knows? Do they have the most devoted fan base? I think, yeah, you can't question if that's true, because we've been bad for so long, and we've endured it. We've actually gotten stronger, I think, through some of a lot of this as a fan base, but we've actually gotten a lot crazier too. So let me just kind of get back to this point. The Johnsons, they have an obligation to do something about this. And if they don't, and when people stop buying those PSLs, when people stop buying the jerseys because we don't know if the guys are going to be here, when people stop buying the hats and the T-shirts and the card decals and all of that, when people stop doing that, it'll no longer become profitable for them, and hopefully they'll sell the team. I'm not going to hold my breath, but I'm saying.
Go sit down.
Look, it's crazy.
It really is, because, I mean, it's like, this is what you want to tell him every time he takes the podium.
Shut the hell up.
Christopher Johnson takes the podium and he says something. That's what you want to say to him.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I rewatched Gase's introductory press conference. It made me sick to my stomach. It's an absolute joke. Quote unquote, coaching to where football's going. Quote unquote, brilliant offensive mind. This guy has made a living off of 1 year of being Peyton Manning's offensive coordinator. Meanwhile, he allowed Peyton Manning to make any sort of check or audible at the line of scrimmage when this guy, Peyton Manning had been already like 15 years in the league. So he's lived off of Peyton Manning's coattails. Let's not forget, Peyton Manning is a major reason the Jets are in this mess. Not only because of the funny fact that he stayed at college, but he promoted Gase.
Peyton Manning hates the Jets. Whoever didn't recognize that is an idiot.
Peyton Manning was the first guy in Christopher Johnson's ear saying how great Adam Gase was. The two worst things that happened were Peyton Manning giving his nod of approval to Adam Gase, and number two, the fact that Adam Gase immediately got fired and never had a moment to take a year off, look himself in the mirror, and say, what am I doing wrong? He's doing the same exact thing that he did in Miami here in New York. It's ridiculous.
So basically what you're saying that Adam Gase sat at the knee of Peyton Manning for 1 year, copied down everything that he did, including the audibles that he called, and then formed it into his own offense and forced everybody to just blindly go along with everything and not be able to change it because it's the logic of Peyton Manning.
Yeah, and then the real kicker is that
fucking idiot.
So when Adam Gase was offensive coordinator in Denver under Peyton Manning, the year that they had a huge year with Demaryius Thomas, Eric Decker, etc., when they went to the Super Bowl, the idea was Adam Gase was some sort of offensive genius. Meanwhile, he allowed Peyton Manning to do any audible that he wanted at the line of scrimmage, change the play, whatever. The real hypocrisy of it all is then he makes his living off of that. His reputation, Adam Gase's reputation, is off this idea that he's a brilliant offensive mind after 1 year with Peyton Manning, Eric Decker, Demaryius Thomas, etc. Then he comes to the Jets. Well, he goes to Miami and then goes to the Jets. And, what was it, 2-3 weeks ago? There was a big controversy about how, Darnold should have been allowed to audible on 4th and 1 to a quarterback sneak. And in the press conference, Adam Gase says, no, he's not allowed to do that.
Right. And you know what? That is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard, because you know what? Your quarterback is out there, and if he sees that whatever play that Adam Gase called from his geniusness is about to get blown up in his face, and Sam Darnold sees something where if he calls an audible, he could probably get that first down and keep that drive alive, he should have that freedom to do so.
Of course.
Adam Gase is not Bill Belichick. Adam Gase is not Bill Parcells. He hasn't fucking done shit in this league.
No, it's a joke. I mean, the moment, like you said, Kevin, the moment Adam Gase is gone, the fan base it's like a weight lifted off your shoulder. It's like, all right. In the meantime, as long as Adam Gase is the head coach, I have 0% interest of watching any game. And I am the type of guy that would not miss a game if my life depended on it. I'd take off work. I'd do whatever I had to do to watch the Jets. I'd sneak into the back room and watch them on my phone. I have no interest in watching Jets football until Adam Gase is gone.
That's where we're at.
I mean, think about it. Guys, we trotted out 35-year-old Joe Flacco and 37-year-old Frank Gore as our quarterback running back combo today in the year of 2020. I was in high school, and those two could have been playing together.
So, all right. So really quick, let me just go over the game stats over here. Joe Flacco actually finished the day 21 of 44 for 186 yards, average 4.2 yards per play. He was sacked 3 times for 38 yards, including losing 28 yards on a sack in the fourth quarter, which pretty much killed probably one of the best drives that the Jets had all day. Ryan Fitzpatrick was 18 for 27, 191 yards, 7.1 average per play, 3 touchdowns, 2 picks. Tua Tagovailoa, who actually came in toward the end of the game, was 2 for 2 for 9 yards. He actually had a handoff for Myles Gaskin. Gaskin, 18 carries for 91 yards. Ryan Fitzpatrick had 1 carry for 4 yards. Frank Gore had 11 carries for 46 yards. Ty Johnson had 3 carries for 42 yards. He had a big 34-yarder in the fourth quarter when he was brought in. LaMichael Piron, 7 carries for 27 yards. Again, completely freaking just underutilized. I'm not even going to go into it. But Rashad Perriman finished the day 4 receptions for 62 yards. He was targeted 8 times. Jamison Crowder, 7 receptions for 48 yards. He was targeted 13 times. Braxton Berrios had a 1 reception for 18 yards. So, they tried to spread the ball around, but it just didn't work. You had picks today, one by Marcus May, where he used his right butt cheek to secure the ball. So now we have the buttception. Okay. And, you had Brian Poole, who had an interception just before going into halftime of Ryan Fitzpatrick, but the Jets really couldn't do anything with it. So, hence, those are your game stats. It's trash.
CJ, not to interrupt you, I'm sorry, but just a real quick breaking news. The Jets have traded nose tackle Steve McClendon to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
God, man, get rid of all the leaders on the team.
Yeah, honestly, you know what? McClendon deserves better than this at this late in his career.
Actually, McClendon just went to a really good situation, so I'm not sure how much better it is that we go say he deserves. But they're doing right by him, that's for sure. They're definitely doing right by him.
Yeah, McClendon, it was like, all you could ask for in the classic soldier when it was like he was a leader. He's the kind of guy that doesn't put up big stats, but he was, a huge run, would eat up blocks. You can't not love Steve McClendon for the time he was with the Jets.
And again, another leader, another professional leader, somebody who these young guys would have been able to look up to. So, again, just another piece that we add on, another log that we add into the dumpster fire that is the New York Jets at this point. Okay. Now, Jax, you started something at the beginning of the show, and I'm going to address this. I know Dave wasn't here for this. Okay. So I'm about to go on a little bit of a 5-minute rant here. So just bear with me, okay? If there is another person who is going to call Adam Gase a quarterback whisperer or offensive guru, I'm absolutely going to lose my shit. Because this guy should not be allowed to coach organized sports ever again. Period. Somebody put a thing out there. I think it was Joshua who said something in the group chat that he'll get an offensive coordinator's job somewhere. I wouldn't trust this fucking guy to coach a peewee team. Because if you're going to get this out of professionals, what have you done to be called a quarterback whisperer, an offensive guru, an innovative play caller? You haven't done shit. So I swear to God, if somebody calls Adam Gase the offensive guru, the quarterback whisperer, I swear I'm going to punch them in the face. Because it's just ridiculous. Okay, because the man has done anything but. You're seeing him run Joe Flacco into the ground. He was already broken down when the Jets picked him up. Okay, Sam Darnold has a shoulder injury now, thanks to Adam Gase. Okay, so what else is he going to ruin? We gave Le'Veon Bell away for a song. We couldn't even get anything to trade. That's another friggin' thing that I didn't even go into. You mean to tell me you couldn't find somebody who would give you a 7th-round pick or a 6th-round pick for Le'Veon Bell? Seriously, I want to know.
I think it's been reported that he'd at least gone maybe a late first or 2nd-round pick at least. And I mean, look, the fact that Sam Darnold is a talented quarterback isn't lost on anyone. But again, because this always seems to get lost in the framework of our conversations, this is the Jets. Come on now. I mean, how many times does it really take for us to, kind of recognize what the reality of this situation is? All of this stuff needs to be viewed in the frame of this organization and how it is that this is being run, how it is that this is being mismanaged, the players, coaches, in its entirety. So, I mean, I don't necessarily, allow much weight to be placed on people who don't follow this team maybe the way that we do. And you can tell some of the commentary on national television, they don't follow this team the way that we do, and they don't get it. This is
not interesting to follow. It's not news.
It's not. You're right.
It's a giant dumpster fire, and right now we're the laughingstock of the NFL. And the thing that really aggravates me as a fan is that Christopher Johnson and Woody Johnson don't seem to mind. And that's what aggravates. That's what I find insulting to me as a fan. And I've heard it before. CJ, the owners don't report to you. They don't have to report to you. They don't care what you think.
Yada, yada, yada.
And I'm like, you know what? Okay. So they'll start to care when people like me, like you, like everybody else, stop spending money on this team, stops watching games, stops buying gear. But even then, it still won't matter because they're still making money off the rest of the NFL because they get a portion of they get a portion of the contract. So the game is rigged. So it's like, what is it that we can do short of billboards, flying planes, screaming and yelling at Adam Gase, screaming and yelling at players, screaming and yelling on social media, that's going to get across to them? Because if this is the way that the Johnsons are going to operate this franchise, at some point, when do you ask yourself, when does the NFL step in?
That's a good question. Because you have to understand that the NFL, more than anything, is still a for-profit organization. And I think that, you kind of can't argue with the business model that Woody has put in place when it comes to the numbers, because this team is still making money. It's $1 billion organization. And it's because of us. It's because of the fans. At some point in time, he's going to have to do something that, justifies giving back to the shareholders. You know what I'm saying? And just to put it in a financial term. He's going to have a hard time until what it is that we have happen is either he has an epiphany and either allows or chooses someone to run the operations or just, give it to Joe Douglas and let him run it and step out of the way, or he sells the team. We're gonna have situations like this occur more and more frequently, and situations where we have winning football even less frequently now.
Hey, it's a joke. It really is. Hence the title of tonight's show. Justify enduring this sadness. Really?
Oh, that's a good one. I actually have never heard that. I have the just endure the suffering, but that's a good one. Just justify enduring the sadness. Yeah, all of the above are very applicable.
Right. Because right now, Jet fans have gone from being angry, being upset, to now just being aloof. Now we just don't give a shit. And the problem is that if you don't do anything to stop us crossing over into the indifference mode, which is what we're getting into, That's when fans of this team, like casual Jets fans, maybe not the diehards like everyone who's here at this panel right now, okay? But there are other people that maybe are just like casual fans or just sit-ins that have just lost interest. And there are others that have been fans of this team that have been there for forever. I mean, between Jackson and I, we're looking at 80 plus years of fandom sitting here. I mean, you told us how long you were a fan there, David. So I mean, you're pushing double digit years. So I mean, at what point do fans like us just finally say, you know what?
It really does. This is I think probably one of the times where I've really felt like we're already fans of other teams at this point. Just because the only real football that we get to watch is other games. So I'm not saying we've attached ourselves to teams and buying jerseys and all of that, but we're not watching this team. We're not fans of this team. I mean, hopefully, we're fans of football. I mean, the more that you know about the game of football, I guess the easier it allows you to understand how fandom works and understand product and what it is that you're actually a fan of. Right now, anybody that comes in that's a fan of this team is doing it only because they're being taught to by their family members. There's not a kid out there who likes and watches and understands football that would choose to be a fan of the Jets. We don't have anything here that justifies it. We need to get back to that. If we're not going to get back to that, then there won't be any of us who really do much. The merch goes down. We don't buy any more T-shirts. We don't buy any more hats. We don't buy the gloves. We don't buy the keychains. We don't buy none of that stuff. Right. And then we just kind of fade into not paying attention, and that's how it happens. And that's really what they're allowing to take place right now. There are certain moves that can save some folks, though. Like I said, show some life. Show that there's somebody in this organization that has some balls and that is sick and tired of watching us suffer.
Right. No, I completely.
That was really well said, because I completely agree. And as someone that's 29, I think I'm one of the last generation of quote unquote younger people that actually still feel an allegiance. And no matter what, I'll always love the Jets. But this is the first time in my life where I just have had no interest even watching the game. Like, you're not even trotting out a team to be competitive. Even in years past where we were 5-11, 4-12, at least they showed some semblance of competitiveness. This is just embarrassing.
Right.
It's to the point where my defense mechanism as a diehard Jets fan is to try to essentially get ahead of everybody and poke fun at them before they poke fun at me. Cause then it's like, oh, look, he's, witty and funny about them, because that's all I can do. It's just such a joke that I can't even watch the team, because we're trotting out Flacco, Gore. And I mean, I get it. There's been injuries, but it's just, how do you even try to, on opening kickoff, get excited about watching the team you're looking at?
Yeah, and personally, to be honest with you, the only way that you would get excited about it is you remove Adam Gase from the building. Because if you remove Adam Gase from the building and you put a new voice in there, you can at least squeeze a little bit of life out of this team. And even if they continue their downward spiral, okay, it's a little bit more palatable because there's another guy pushing the buttons and there's a different voice, and players could go out there and play hard. And maybe you'll start seeing, we may lose, but it's not 24-0. It's maybe 24-14 or 24-17 or 24-21 or 30-37.
Respectable, at least.
A little bit more competitive football because guys are actually going out there and trying to break their ass.
2 weeks ago, the Texans fired Bill O'Brien. The following week, they won. Last week, the Falcons fired Dan Quinn. This week, first game back, they won. What do you know? teams show some life, because the common fan doesn't necessarily understand the importance of this, but the attitude in the locker room is a big deal. The rest of the team probably is just like, fuck this, man. Like, we're being set up to fail. We look like assholes being trotted out there with terrible coaching. The minute Adam Gase gets fired, I guarantee you the following week, the Jets are going to play their best game of the season. I guarantee it, because the idea of the fired coach and then the team rallying around the interim coach is 100% a real thing. We're not in college. We're not in high school. We're dealing with grown-ass men that are going out there being led by other men. When they don't respect that person, that's a major factor. There's nobody in the Jets locker room that respects Adam Gase. And you guess what? Nobody in Miami's locker room respected Adam Gase either. And it's not a coincidence that all of them went on to career years the minute Adam Gase went away.
Yeah, I completely agree. All right, Jax. It's time for the segment of the White Hot Spotlight, ladies and gentlemen, as we get rolling.
In the spotlight with Kevin Jackson.
All right, so who do we have in the White Hot Spotlight this week?
You know what? This is I'm gonna improvise this one, because this isn't exactly where I planned on going with it. But in the spotlight tonight, Steve McClendon. I pick people within this organization weekly who have kind of a focus on not only what's going on the field, but what it is that's going on in upper management and between ownership, coaches, players. We've discussed special teams, coaches, all of that stuff. But this is coming to point right now. Steve McClendon was a veteran presence in the locker room that is now like a rudderless ship. Even with that guy, they were struggling, but you get rid of one of the strongest, most respected voices in the place. Why do you do that now? Steve McClendon is a microcosm of why this team has the problems that they have, why it is that they've continued to have those problems over the course of the past multiple seasons now. I don't even want to assign a number to it, because even when we went 10-6, that was a mirage. Let's just be real about that. Okay, so the last time that we actually were a decent team was back in 2009 and 2010. I'm getting sick of this. Steve McClendon, if you've watched the One Jets drive with him, if you've seen any of the other tapes and clips of him being who it is that we needed him to be in the locker room as a veteran presence ever since he's gotten here from Pittsburgh, the guy he's been a rock, man. He's been somebody that the players look up to, that the coaches can probably go to maybe disseminate a message if they need to, because the guy is well respected. And you get rid of him. You get rid of, again, and I say this because I know we have some guys on the line, but he was also one of our most solid interior players. Yeah, maybe he's getting a little long in the tooth, but I mean, based on what it is that we have, you always see him in there. You always see him making plays. He's still starting. Now, he's going to take his talent to another team that has an upward trajectory. And I'm just going to be honest with you. It's starting to make me feel like Joe Douglas is sending these guys off for golden parachutes, because he knows that what it is that he's doing is bullshit. He knows that it's really detrimental to the team and the growth of the locker room. And Dave, you said it, really well when you said that the locker room is key. How important is that? When you lose the locker room, that means that nothing that you do is going to be successful. Because then what are those guys playing for? Now they're all little small businesses thinking about their own interests and not necessarily the interests of the team. Steve McClendon's in the spotlight tonight because Steve McClendon was one of our better players in a situation where we don't have many, and we needed to have stronger glue to keep it together. And they're giving us the stuff that you peel on your hands and peel off as a kid in kindergarten.
Dave, any thoughts?
It's really, I mean, Very well said, sir. Very well said. But I mean, I think we've just approached the point in time where it's sell, 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 man. That's the reality of it. The reset button has been completely hit. The only thing that's still up in the air is the status of Sam Darnold. That is the only thing. Besides that, you have Becton, maybe May. I don't even know if May's involved in this conversation, but like there's less than 5 players that you just lock in and say they're not going anywhere. Besides that, everybody's up and auditioning for their gig next year. I mean, Avery, God bless him. I think it's a shame that he had such a good year, tore his ACL in preseason last year, and then had to rehab to come back to this shit show. Mosley's going to be gone. Obviously now Le'Veon's gone. What an absolute disgrace that entire offseason was, minus the Crowder signing, and we'll see the future of him. It's just everybody's up in the air. It's going to turn into the last couple games are going to be tryouts for guys to see if they can play special teams and potentially find some role, whether it's offensively or defensively. It's just a real shame. It really is. It's really kind of sad when you think of it all. Like Adam Gase has led us down this path so quickly. It really should never have come to this. But here we are. That's the reality of the situation. And all you got to do is keep your fingers crossed and hope Douglas can draft well. And, obviously Gase will be gone and we can hire a offensive coach who can come in and either be all on board with Darnold or take a quarterback in the draft, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, I completely agree. So at this point, really, there's nothing else left to say that we just it's going to be a long season, you know. We got the Bills on deck. They're coming to MetLife. That's going to be another whitewash. Maybe Sam will be cleared to play, and we could be somewhat competitive in that game, but I don't expect us to be. But losing Steve McClendon and a solid voice in that locker room, the locker room just took a major hit tonight, whether you guys realize it or not. So, and I have to agree with the comment that Scott Klesby said, this is what teams do when they're about to strip everything down to the core. Yep. So maybe this is exactly what's going on. This is the reason why maybe Adam Gase has not been fired. So it's the suffering is going to continue until somebody at One Jet Drive wakes up. So, and that's pretty much all I have to say for that. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to end tonight's Weapons Hot episode here this evening. I'd like to thank Mr. Dave Hanna for jumping on. Dave, really quick, give out your social media information so fans of Weapons Hot can follow you, interact with you, talk with you and stuff.
Yeah, I appreciate it. If you don't mind, on Twitter, I am at Dave P. Hanna, Hanna. What's funny is I was the strongest advocate of firing Adam Gase, and now I don't even know what to think, because at this point, this team has just stripped me of so much, passion for it, and it's emotionally draining. So we'll see what happens. But yes, I'm at Dave P. Hanna on Twitter, and continue to fight the good fight for all of the hardworking, honest, knowledgeable Jets fans out there.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, you can follow Weapons Hot at CNC Jets Factor on Twitter. You can follow me at JetsFan0523. My partner in crime on the other side of the glass, even though you can't see him, he is there at Spotty Blackman. You can shoot the show an email, weaponshotpodcast@gmail.com. You can hit us up on Facebook. Just look up the Jets Factor, Weapons Hot Podcast. The Jets Factor was our old page. We finally got the opportunity to take that down. So message us, we'll message you right back. We love to go back and forth with teams talking about this team. Also leave us some feedback, on how you think we're doing here on Weapons Hot. We love to hear from you guys and love to know what you guys are thinking. So also don't forget to check us out on SoundCloud.com, on Sports War Radio, on Spreaker.com. on Snowman Digital Media, and quite frankly, any place where you get your New York Jets fix. So, shout out to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network for, again, allowing us to use their airtime to air our grievances against these New York Jets. And every week just seems to get more and more interesting. So, for Mr. Dave Hanna and Mr. Kevin Jackson, otherwise known as Spotty Blackman,
Yes, sir.
this is CJ the Painkiller D. Simone signing off for tonight. We will see you guys when we see you guys. And again, I will leave you with still what I think is the best chant in the National Football League.
Amen.
Peace, love, go Jets.
Amen.
God, I need another drink.
Yes, Lord.
Right there with you, boys.
We'll see you guys next week. Take care.